What's going on YouTube? So far this year, we have reviewed the XC40 and the refreshed 2020 XC90. But now today, it's time for the middle child, the XC60. While not a full refresh, Volvo has made a surprising number of changes to all the models this year, but especially the R design, which is what we have with us today. Of course, we would like to specially thank our friends at Quantrell Volvo in Lexington for giving us access to this loaded XC60. And if you're in the market for any new Volvo, make sure you stop by their newly renovated dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with that said, let's see if the middle child is the Volvo crossover to get. So getting things started with the design, all the main characteristics carry over from last year. That means you'll continue to find Volvo's traditional soft rectangular grille in the front, finished in one of three ways. This is the sporty R design, so its finish is a black mesh. But if you choose the Momentum, it'll be black bars and the Inscription silver bars. As far as the headlights, they are the same throughout the lineup, being Volvo's signature Thor Hammer full LED lights. They do have a very nice and sophisticated design, and unlike other Volvos, the hammer handle runs all the way up to the grille. Moving on to the side, you can start to see the main 2020 styling changes to the R design, and that's that all the previous satin chrome is gone, and in its place, metallic black now trims the windows, roof rails, and mirror caps. Around back, the 60 continues to look sportier than the 90, based mostly on the fact that the taillights make a 90-degree turn and go across part of the back. All models also have dual exhaust outlets, though they are circular on the Momentum. So overall, the XC60 has the same kind of elegant and sophisticated look as all the recent Volvos, but the new R design touches make it the sportiest of the bunch. Now moving on to the wheels, like most recent Volvos, there are a lot of different options to pick between. Each trim offers at least two choices, 19 or 20 inch options for Inscription, 18, 19 or 20 inch options on Momentum, and then 19 or these 21 inch alloys on the R design. Moving up to the mirrors, they have standard auto dimming and blind spot monitoring on R design and Inscription, in addition to heating and turn signals, which are included on all models. And like I already said, the R design's mirror caps are now black instead of silver. And finally, the last thing to talk about on the outside is also one of the most important things about a Volvo, the safety. As you'd expect, every XC60 comes standard with the full suite of active systems, including automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and animal detection, lane keeping assist, and a really neat feature called steering support, which can actually steer you around obstacles if it determines the vehicle cannot stop quick enough to avoid the collision. Finally, Pilot Assist, Volvo's semi-autonomous driving system, is also available optionally. Alrighty, so that hits all the details on the outside. So now let's see some of the updates to the interior. So in the 2020 XC60, you will find Volvo's Smart Entry System, standard on the R design and the Inscription, optional on the Momentum. Now if you do get the R design or Inscription, you will also get this lovely key fob with the matching leather to the seating inside the vehicle. And then as one last thing, the Volvo On Call app does allow you to remote start the vehicle free for 4 years. Now as far as getting inside the vehicle itself, it is very simple. Just grab the handle, and when you do, your mirrors will electrically fold out. Alright, so taking a look inside the 2020 XC60, You will notice the design does stay the same this year. However, there are a lot of different changes to the actual material and color combinations. So starting on the Momentum trim, real leather seating is now standard for 2020, and it does come in blonde, charcoal, maroon, or amber color schemes. Now the R design, this gets the biggest change. You have the Napa leather, but with a grid textile, as you can see right here. That replaces the previous nubuck, which was basically like an Alcantara insert in the middle. Additionally, you have charcoal, but also a new slate gray color option. And then as far as your inscription trim, that still continues to come with full Napa leather, with the same 4 colors as the Momentum, but it is the only one that gets driftwood, open pore wood, instead of the aluminum trim that comes on the Momentum and this R design. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. As you can see, you have leather all through here with the color contrast stitching. You do also have a nice fabric insert here. Like I said, this does replace the previous Alcantara with this new fabric. As far as your windows, they are one-touch automatic, and you will find 2-person memory seating standard across the board. Now as far as your seats here, the standard seat is 10-way power adjusting. However, when you go for the R design, you add a few more ways of adjustment, like your power thigh extension. And then additionally, if you go for the inscription and choose the luxury package, that's where you'll add adjusting side bolsters and massaging functionality. Now like I was saying, this is the Napa leather with the cloth inserts. And it feels very nice. Napa leather is one of the finest grades of leather. Very smooth and nice. The fabric now is on the outside edge where it previously was on the inside, so that's a little bit different. And then we also have the R design embroidered into the headrest. So checking out the cabin here, like I said, the design is pretty much the same this year, but there are some material changes across the board. Now the main one I want to point out is that we have the tailored dashboard, which is a leatherette across this upper part here. This is newly standard to the R design for 2020, and it was already standard on the inscription. That leatherette does continue down here. And then all through this entire portion here, you have some type of real material. It's either 2 different grades of aluminum for Momentum and R design, or 2 different grades of open pore wood for the inscription. And then those same materials do carry down here as well, and everything does fit together extremely well. Now to start the XC60, you have this little twist knob here, so you're just going to twist it. And when you do, you will see the standard 9-inch Sensus display fire up, just like on all other Volvo models. Now what you're looking at here are your reconfigurable gauges. I said it in some of our previous 2020 Volvo videos, but these reconfigurable gauges are now standard across the entire 2020 Volvo lineup. So they are here on every XC60. So this display does have the same party tricks as all the other Volvo models, including your ability to come over here and change different design themes here. So you have 4 different ones on the XC60. Minimalist, glass, performance, and also the traditional chrome looking rings. You can also put the map in the middle as well if you prefer. Now up top here we do also have a head-up display to go along with that, and that is included in the advanced package. Now coming back to your steering wheel, of course it is electric power assisted steering. And you have an exclusive R design steering wheel, very nice looking, fully leather of course, but with the white color contrast stitching and the specific R design branding. Up here you have some buttons for your cruise control and safety systems, and then this side is for your multifunction display, audio, and phone controls. You will also notice rain sensing wipers, standard across the board. And on the R design specifically, we do have some paddle shifters. And then lastly, the wheel itself is manually tilt and telescoping across the board, and heating is available as a standalone option. Now, as far as cabin storage is concerned, you do have a class competitive amount. So we'll start out with our center console here. When you lift it up, it is a pretty deep amount of space here. You do have a little pad as well that you can remove if things get dirty, and the sides are felt lined. And you do also have 2 of your USB ports right there as well. Up in front of that, you can slide back this beautiful piece of aluminum to reveal your 2 cup holders, another little storage area right there, and a 12-volt outlet. And then this little piece here does slide up where you can store something small, maybe like the key fob. Now, as far as the shifter, the vast majority of models do come with this traditional shifter. However, if you go for the T8, you will continue to find the Orifice crystal shifter instead. But as far as this one, it is super simple. You just bump down for drive, go over to the left to shift manually right here, or via the paddle shifters that I already pointed out for the R design only. And then when we go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera across all models. However, this model does come with the advanced package, which throws in the 360-degree camera system. So as you can see, it takes up most of the 9 inches here. And then you can click onto certain cameras if you want to highlight a certain place. So right there, now I'm checking the side. That way, maybe I can make sure that I don't grind against the curb or something like that. And then back behind the shifter, we do have an electronic parking brake and a brake hold feature. Then I also do want to point out the drive mode select here. We have this really nice roller, and then when we roll through, we can click into our several different drive modes, which would be Eco, Comfort, Polestar Engineered, and Off-Road. Alright, and now that brings us to our audio system. So you got 3 different choices on this car. The standard one is a 10-speaker audio system. However, most of the models, which would be standard on the R design and description, will come with this 600-watt 14-speaker Harman Kardon premium sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. To say, sound quality of this system is excellent. Now you do still have the option of a 1100 watt 15 speaker Bauer & Wilkins sound system for an insane $3,200. But hearing this sound system, I have heard both of them. It's probably not worth the upgrade unless you're a really super audiophile, really into music. Alright, so now we are up here at the Sensus display. Now this is the same as it has been for several years, so I'm not going to be super detailed in this video, but as always, we do have a very detailed tech help video available in the description if you want to learn more about the system. So we'll point out a few different highlights here. You still have the kind of tabbed interface, so you just click a section to expand it. What we have right here is our standard navigation system on the R design and the inscription, and you can make that take up the full screen if you want. Additionally, if you go for the Momentum, which does not have standard navigation, or you just want to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto interfaces, they are both also included across the board. Now, of course, also inside of this display, you do have your climate control adjustments. So to get into this stuff, basically, you're just going to click and expand it out. Now, what comes standard is a dual zone automatic setup. However, a 4-zone automatic setup is now standard on the R design and up. That is new for 2020. So you just tap your zones, of course. You can adjust the rear climate back here, or they can do it with their own controls in the back. And then as far as your actual temperatures here, you just adjust the slider up and down like so. You also see the little seat button here. This is where you'll turn on and off your 3-stage heated seats. Those are optional across the board, as well as the heated steering wheel. And you can also get ventilation, but you'll have to get the inscription and add the luxury package to unlock that feature. Now moving on up here, we do have a standard auto dimming mirror with a built-in compass and 3 HomeLink universal remotes. Then you'll also notice one of my favorite features, and that's that we actually have a standard panoramic moonroof across all the trims, even the base Momentum. As you can see, it's absolutely huge. It goes well past even the second row headrest there, and the front portion does open up a pretty good amount with a windscreen as well. So overall, I continue to really love the cabin of the 2020 XC60. Quite simply, it is a place that feels super luxurious and really offers a lot more than you expect for this class of vehicle. You know, it is very similar to the XC90, and that is a more expensive and higher tier vehicle. And then these 2020 changes to the technology as well as the material choices, I think have even further elevated things. Alright, so that does it for the front areas. Now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will check out the rear seats and the cargo area.
Alrighty, so heading around to the second row of the 2020 Volvo XC60 R design, you are going to find a good amount of space, especially for its class. You'll find 38 inches of both leg and headroom, which is actually on par with a lot in the class, and is surprisingly larger than the XC90 in the second row. Now coming over to the door trim, it is a really nice design. So we do have your Napa leather on the door trim here, as well as this unique fiber here, or fabric, and that is new for 2020. We do also have an automatic window, and down below that we do have some bottle storage. Now the seat itself is the same design as the front seats, so they are a really nice mix of the Napa leather as well as this fabric, and it looks really, really nice here on the R design. Now here in the center, Volvo doesn't skimp on the features, even though this is the XC60, so we do have plenty of features for the rear. So we have standard 4-zone climate on the R design and higher, so that does mean that each rear passenger back here will get to adjust their temperatures. Obviously the vehicle is not powered on, so you can't really see it, but all of it is on the screen, and you can adjust your temperatures and all of the fan speeds and stuff like that through the screen. Now in addition to that, we do also have the standalone option of heated rear seats for $425. You do have vents below that, as well as here on the B-pillar. And down below that, we do have a 12-volt outlet. Now here in the center, we do have a fold-down armrest. It does have some storage inside, as well as a little bin here. And your cup holders are in the end. Now, one of the 2020 changes back here is that actually the electronically folding rear headrest are not that way anymore. It does not have the electric folding from the front, so that is one of your 2020 changes. And up top, we do have this beautiful, beautiful panoramic moonroof. This has got to be about the same size as on the XC90 because it is absolutely massive. As you can see, it goes even behind the second row seats. So this is a really, really nice pano roof. And off to the side, we do have some LED lighting, as well as a coat hook and an assist grip. Now, as far as the rear legroom is concerned, like I said, it is on par with that of its rivals like the Q5 and X3. So I do have about I'd say about 8 to 9 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat behind Drew's position. Now the rear seats themselves do fold, so all you have to do is locate this little lever right here, and they do fold right down. And coming around to the trunk, it is standard hands-free power, so all you have to do is wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And once inside the XC60's trunk, you are going to be once again pleasantly surprised with the amount of space. You'll find 22 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats, and if you fold them, you'll get 63 cubic feet. That is actually larger than most of its rivals like the Q5, Mercedes GLC, and BMW X3. Now as far as how they finish it back here, it is finished very nice. You do have some aluminum scuff plates, and off to the side we have a little storage, a 12-volt power outlet, a cargo cover, and underneath of the floor here, we do have a spare tire. Now coming over to the passenger seat, it is the same adjustments as the driver, so it's 10-way power. And I do also want to point out that we do also have 2-person memory seating as well. Now in front of the passenger, we do have really nice materials, and down below that, we have a really good sized glove box. It's actually larger than I would have expected, and it is nicely felt lined as well. And you can also use this little button to turn this into like a cool box, which is a really nice touch. Now up top, we do have a sun visor with an LED light and mirror, and it does also detach, however it does not extend. Well guys, that sums up all the practical stuff about this XC60, so now let's go ahead and take it on the road and see how it compares to its rivals like the Q5 and X3.
Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about this car's powertrain situation. Now, it is the same as other Volvo models, which means you've got the 3-prong setup. T5, T5 all-wheel drive, T6 always has all-wheel drive, and T8 always has all-wheel drive. So really 4 different choices across all the different trim levels. So your T5 is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder like most of the competition, and that produces 250 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Now what this model here is, this is the T6, and that's going to take that same engine, add the supercharger, and bump the power up to 316 and 295 pound-feet of torque. Finally, you do have the T8, that's the plug-in electric. It adds to that same engine those electric components. That takes the power all the way up to 400 horsepower. You do have a larger battery this year as well. That's across all T8 models in the Volvo lineup. And then, one more thing, there is a Polestar Engineered model that is new for 2020. And that you're looking at 430 horsepower for that because it does have specific tuning. So that's now the top-end model of the XC60 lineup. As far as your transmission, all the models will have an 8-speed automatic transmission. And then wrapping things up with the fuel economy, once again, there are a lot of different numbers here. I'm not going to discuss every single one of them. We'll just put them in a text box. But they're pretty close to each other. So your T6 all-wheel drive is 20 city, 27 highway, 23 combined. And then your most efficient model, the T5 front-wheel drive, is just 1 mpg combined, better, because more or less it is the same engine like we discussed. Alright, but anyways, that pretty much sums up the powertrain situation. So let's take it out on the road and see how it performs. So first launching off in the T6
Nice.
XC60. Nice is a good way to put it. Very good power. Right off the line you can just feel a lot of power. And it is instantaneous because that's kind of the benefit of having the turbo and the supercharger. And the time that it takes for the turbo to spool up, the supercharger is instantly available. So that gives you that power. Then, once you kind of get up to speed, you have that handoff where it starts to become the turbocharger once that's ready to go, which is more efficient than a supercharger. And that's kind of how the whole system works, and that's what makes this have significantly more better performance than the standard version.
Yeah, that and if you're looking in this class of vehicle, this is definitely, if you're doing T6 to like a regular Q5 or a GLC 300, you're going to see pretty significant power upgrades over those models, and you can feel it because we were just in the GLC just a little bit ago.
That's right, that's an excellent point, because to get like the AMG Sport model or an M-Line model for an X3, that is going to be more expensive. You can get into a T6 XC60 for definitely in line with what the Germans will give you just for the standard 4-cylinder. And compared to that GLC, it's definitely going to be a real noticeable difference in the power. We're dropping about at least a second, 0 to 60. Now we do also have the Polestar Engineered chip installed in this. Now that's not the same as the actual Polestar Engineered model. That is a new model. It adds to T8. Not the same thing. This just kind of gives you, like, I guess you could say, a taste of it to the lower end models. I don't think it specifically makes this car faster, but it does change like the ECU tuning, stuff like that, just to kind of give you a little bit more of a sensation of speed. And you know, it does feel very responsive. There's also a drive mode as well that you can put it in. Really enjoying the fact that I can hear the supercharger. Yeah. That is, that's just unique. There's very few cars nowadays that are supercharged, especially not a, you know, mainstream vehicle. It's usually something kind of exotic. Really cool just to hear the supercharger, just a little bit of whine, gives it a good amount of character. Now we do have the auto start stop system engaged right now, so we'll see how quickly it restarts. Definitely did a good job. Very smooth and really quiet as well. Yeah. When you're just sitting there, you really won't even notice that it's turned on and off audibly.
Yeah, I was really trying to pay attention. I knew it was going to do that, so I was trying to pay attention and see if I could feel anything through the seat. Didn't feel a thing, so that's very good from Volvo. And just kind of cruising here. I know we've talked a lot about the performance of this engine and stuff, but this is an XC60 at the end of the day, and the main mission of the XC60 is obviously to be a family hauler and to really just haul around all of your family in comfort. And you know, this car really does that well. We're just kind of cruising around in traffic, and I imagine this is probably going to be the environment that most of the models are in, and it just feels absolutely amazing. My seats, Volvo seats, fantastically comfortable, and it's just a quiet environment. Like Drew said, the engine is, you know, it's tuned quietly, and it, you know, it's just very quiet and luxurious feeling.
Now we do have several different drive modes, like I had pointed out. So instead of like the sport mode with the Polestar Engineered, we have that replaces it. So we'll go ahead and try out that. When we take back off here at this red light, see how different it feels. thing really scoots. I mean, it feels very powerful.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to get that type of performance from the base engines of the German rivals.
That's right. You know, and then a lot of the Japanese competition,
That's worse.
They don't even have oftentimes an upgraded engine option available. So, you know, these are things to keep in mind, particularly since Volvo is really unique in the fact that you can kind of pair every trim level with every type of engine. So let's say you just really want a T6, but your budget, you know, is on the lower side. You can pair T6 and Momentum to make a really appealing performance option at a price point that is lower than what the competition is going to give you. Let's go ahead and talk about the steering a little bit. Now, in typical Volvo fashion, it is light. All Volvos pretty much are light. When we put it in the Polestar mode, it does tighten things down. As you can see, it is very responsive, so it takes very little turning to get a response. But it does have some, you know, lightness and numbness as typical with Volvos. So that keeps it from feeling really sporty, like perhaps one of the more performance German crossovers would feel. That being said, this kind of really is a happy medium for most people. At the end of the day, these types of crossovers are going to be used not for performance and sport, but for family use. And I think it has a good balance between still having good responsiveness, but also, you know, just being light everyday use in parking lots and stuff like that. Since we do have paddles on the R design, we'll go ahead and try that out here. But overall, I have to say, I definitely really enjoyed driving this XC60. You know, like I had mentioned when I was talking about the steering, really overall this car kind of seems to me to strike a really nice balance between the sporty side of things and the luxury side of things. All Volvos tend to do a good job, but especially on the R design, you've got the looks, and we've got the performance to back it up with the T6. But then at the same time, we just have an absolutely wonderful luxury environment in here. One that really sacrifices almost nothing from the flagship XC90 and is definitely one of the best in the class. So all in all, it's really a great and appealing package.
Alrighty, and now as far as the pricing is concerned for this 2020 XC60, you're going to find competitive pricing for this class of vehicle. So I'm about to name off the prices, and this is going to be with the base engine and front wheel drive, so the base configuration for that trim level. So for the Momentum, that's going to start at $40,795. The R Design is going to start at $47,495, and the Inscription is actually the same price, so you kind of just pick which one you want.
I do believe that's new this year.
Yeah,
as well.
I don't think it was quite the same price.
Yeah, they added a little bit more equipment to this R Design.
Now we have also optioned on for the T6 all-wheel drive model, so that does mean it starts out more expensive, and we do have several different option packages on top of that. So we have the Advanced package for $2,500, heated rear seats and heated steering wheel for $750, the optional metallic paint for $645, the Protection package Premier for $605, the Polestar chip, which we'll talk about, that's $1,295, the 21-inch R Design wheels for $1,000, and then finally we have the Destination charge for $995, and that brings this one as equipped to $60,440. which is definitely expensive for the class, but this is pretty much fully loaded. You can't really get one too much more expensive unless you opt for weird stuff like that Bowers & Wilkins audio system. And, you know, it is very competitive
Runs
with
right
the class.
in line with the European competition.
Well guys, we've enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2020 Volvo XC60 R design. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.